Won more conference games this year than the previous two combined. And we're expecting what could be the biggest crowd at the Yum Center since 2022. So an upward trajectory for Louisville, trying to stay on a roll when it's 8th straight. They begin the game with a turnover. Day Ames of Virginia will rattle it out. Chucky Hepburn back to defend, pops the ball in the air to Terrence Edwards Jr. Here's Reyne Smith, the game's first shot for Louisville, and he is fouled on it. Fouled shooting at 3 by Elijah Saunders.
Can you imagine a worse start for Virginia? I mean, you get a cheap turnover, you get a layup, a shot that Virginia does not get a lot of, and then you come back down in the other direction and you foul Reyne Smith, who is one of the best three-point shooters in the country. Obviously, the scouting report is going to tell you to close out hard. But what a back and forth. Missed layup on one end, and you foul a three-point shooter.
You know, Reyne Smith, who's not only a great three-point shooter, 39%, he's now 25 of 28 from the free throw line. Senior out of Australia, part of what is likely to be a 7-man rotation for Louisville today. No Noah Waterman today. He's out with a thumb injury that's been persistently an issue. It's a little more sore today, so they're going to hold him out for at least a game. Starting 5 for UVA, Ames, Rhodey, and McNeely, the guards. Andrew Rhodey's played very well. McNeely, their best shooter. Saunders and the freshman Jacob Kofi. UVA just 1-5 in the ACC under interim head coach Ron Sanchez, coming off a buzzer-beating, or close to it, loss to SMU on Wednesday. McNeely flanked by J'Vonne Hadley. A top 2 is good for the sharpshooting Isaac McNeely.
Virginia going to work it late into the shot clock, play at the slowest tempo nationally. Good job keeping poise against a very good Louisville defense.
Hepburn's been an all-conference level point guard with Smith, Hadley, Edwards, and Scott. Every player in the rotation to transfer except the freshman Kenai Roots. Ames rejects Hepburn's shot with 11 to shoot. Tony Bennett retired abruptly October 18th. Ron Sanchez, longtime deputy, takes over. UVA 1-5 in ACC play, though, for the first time since 08-09, which was the final year before Tony Bennett. And Dave Lato was the head coach here. Hepburn will inbound for Louisville. One of the best offensive teams in the country. Top 30. Adjusted offensive efficiency. Hadley had it knocked away. Hepburn hoists it at the end of the shot clock. It didn't graze the iron, and it's kept alive by Hadley. Louisville, a tenacious offensive rebounding team, one of the country's best. And Hadley will give it back to Hepburn. The Colorado transfer. Hadley with a 3.
Well, this is not a vintage Virginia defense this year. And when you give second shots, Louisville's an offense right now that is cooking and will burn you. And they have a number of guys who can put it on the floor but are also capable shooters.
UVA lowest scoring team in the ACC, which is not a surprise with their pace, but also the worst shooting team, under 43%. Kofi against Scott. Absolute mismatch, and the big man takes it away for U of L. Here's Edwards. The jitterbug from James Madison is fouled on the way up. Sean Hall, by the way, with the call there. Ted Valentine, Kellen Milner are other officials.
James Scott, only a sophomore, came from Charleston with Pat Kelsey. He's having a heck of a year. I mean, he's a glue guy, a connector, whatever you want to call him. Plays really hard. He's incredibly bouncy and athletic and owns his role. Just buys into what he does for this team. Now, Virginia's going to have to prove today, Kevin, that they can defend Louisville off of the bounce. You know, that's the one thing in the first matchup. Louisville dominated Virginia in the paint. And Virginia is a jump shooting team. It's not a team that offensively gets into the paint a lot, but they had a hard time keeping Louisville, especially off of the dribble, out of their paint.
That first meeting just a couple of weeks ago, Louisville outscored Virginia 36-18 in the paint, so doubled them up, won the game 70-50 in Charlottesville. See the little resume for Pat Kelsey, back-to-back trips to the tournament at the College of Charleston. Great success at Winthrop too. Ames wraps it around for McNeely. Saunders gets a good look for three, and he's a good shooter. 37% from out there, Elijah Saunders.
He's the most versatile guy they have. Has struggled with consistency, but he's pretty talented in terms of his versatility.
Hepburn back from Scott. Bouncing in the lane, throws it off of Brody's knee. Loose ball to Hadley. Smith is open. And for Virginia, those are the three most terrifying words in the arena. Smith is open.
Well, obviously you can't leave him, but even on a loose ball, offensive rebound, you cannot leave Reyne Smith at any point in the half court.
Ames probing. Blake Buchanan on the floor had one of the best games of his career Wednesday for UVA, 11 and 15. Saunders back-to-back deep ones, and Elijah Saunders a hot start from the field.
Virginia did not shoot well in that first matchup, only 5 of 26. It's a team that needs to make threes.
Edwards right in between McNeely and Saunders. Great touch to the game for the fifth-year senior.
It's too easy. And Terrence Edwards, his shooting numbers not great in conference play, but you know that he is a bucket getter and will stay aggressive.
Talk balance scoring off the top. Smith's got 6 already, Edwards 4, Hadley with 3. And their leading scorer, Hepburn, hasn't even scored. Brody with a miss, that's knocked out of bounds. Going to Louisville. Cardinals are 3 of 5 for the style of play. What is it about Pat Kelsey and the time you spent around him, Chris, that makes you think he's been the right fit for this program?
Well, first of all, he studied under one of the best in Skip Prosser. You know, was his assistant, longtime assistant. It's his energy. You know, his energy's infectious. Players feed off of it, and he's won everywhere as a head coach. I mean, he won 7 Big South championships at Winthrop. He won 4 CAA championships at Charleston, and he's turned his program around in half a season. He's a bit of a savant, and it starts with his energy.
His team leading by 5 now as Ames got tripped. And a foul on Chucky Hepburn. Coached under Skip Prosser, played for Skip Prosser, so backup point guard for him at Xavier, director of ops and an assistant for Prosser at Wake Forest, 01 to 09. For folks who didn't get to know Skip Prosser, get to spend time. I know you spent a little bit of time with him coaching against him, recruiting. What was he like, and what do you see of Skip Prosser and Pat Kelsey?
He was an everyman. You know, like they could walk into any room. Skip Prosser could walk into any room and relate to folks in that room. He had a great sense of humor. He was a competitor. Had a great sort of feel for not just preparation, but for in-game. I was on staff at Duke, working for Coach K, competing against some of the great teams that Skip and Pat had at Wake Forest. I remember sitting next to Skip Prosser one time out recruiting, and he offered me a stick of gum. And I took it, and he turned to me and he said, "It's not because your breath is bad. Don't worry about that."
Did you believe him?
No.
Smith for 3. That's short. Saw a missed dunk by Saunders at the other end. 13-8, the Louisville lead. 5.5 minutes gone by. Virginia's got the freshman guard Ishan Sharma on the floor. Into Saunders again. This time he will finish. He's got 8 of UVA's 10.
Oh, good execution. Open side there, pick and roll, 2-man game, and Saunders showing you the diversity he has. Has already hit 2 threes. Nice little roll and finish at the rim.
First year over from San Diego State. Edwards around it out on a step back 3. Another offensive rebound. Hadley and another kick out for Smith. This time he cannot convert.
You're lucky if you're Virginia. Reyne Smith making over 4 threes a game in conference play. He's one of the best in the country.
39% on the year from 3 in conference play. That's gone up to 46. Saunders another look from deep. That's his first miss. Rebound to Hepburn, who's still yet to score for Louisville. Their leading scorer at 15.6 a game, averaging nearly 6 assists as well. Hadley on the drive. Hepburn trying to wriggle his way around Buchanan and went into Buchanan for the foul.
Well, Elijah Saunders has been really good at times, and then there's times where he'll disappear in a game. But he has shown you the pick and pop, the ability to step out and hit a three, and then there's the roll to the rim. You know, they need him to play well. They need Isaac McNeely to play well. This offense doesn't have enough punch, enough firepower to compete. You know, so they need a guy like Saunders to play well every minute he's out there.
Do they need to be more assertive getting him looks, or does he need to be more assertive getting himself looks?
I think it's a combination of both. I think you also have to understand, like, Isaac McNeely and Elijah Saunders are at the top of a scouting report. A lot of that having to do with Virginia's talent deficit. Those are like fourth or fifth options on a good team. And they've been thrust into that spotlight.
Saunders into Rhodey. Much improved season for Andrew Rhodey. His missed grab by Buchanan, thrown to Saunders. In the corner, it's a three for McNeely. And rebounded by Scott. It's the guy you want taking a shot for UVA. They're all-time leaders in three-point percentage, third best. That's the guy you want taking the shot if you're Louisville. Smith with his second three in an early 9 for the Aussie. And we're told those umbrellas in the student section are for rain. Buchanan throws it away. Cardinals can run again. Hadley, Hepburn. Out of bounds to Virginia.
He's got a lot of options in transition. First of all, the head of the snake, Chucky Hepburn. You've got to stop his momentum early. You've got to find Reyne Smith, who's running right to that three-point line, and then James Scott shows you his ability to just run right to the front of the rim and keep the play alive.
Hepburn will get his first break of the game. Freshman roots off to the bench as well. Abubakar Traore, senior transfer from Long Beach State, is on. He's played well since returning from broken arm. His best game was against Virginia, 15 and 8 in 16 minutes. Buchanan on the roll, and Buchanan is denied. Traore came over to take it off the rim. Smith step back. That's a tough one. Around and out it went.
Even when he misses, the ball goes halfway down.
Rhodey. This time it's an easier finish for Buchanan, his first two. Sophomore from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Already got 4 rebounds after a career-high 15 Wednesday. Edwards takes a bump and scores through it. He's got 6. Both teams shooting at 5 for 13. Virginia has not attempted a free throw. Louisville 7 for 7. Rhodey trying to find some space. Traore with a rebound.
Tough. You're always under duress against this Louisville defense. Starts with their effort and how hard they play.
Here's Smith again. Tane Murray, the New Zealander, guarding the Australian Smith. Now Edwards against Rhodey. Edwards will try to take it. Edwards puts it off the glass and good. Strong finish.
He's been doing work in the paint. They have not been able to keep Terrence Edwards out of the paint.
McNeely lost it. Here comes Traore. Elijah Saunders back on the floor, and Saunders gets fouled. Well, great week of men's college basketball finishing today. Another great week coming up. Tuesday night, SEC, ACC doubleheader. We start on ESPN2, Mississippi State, which has a fantastic game today against Ole Miss in a couple of hours. On the road against Tennessee. Then a big one here in the ACC, North Carolina and a Wake Forest team trying to play its way back out of the bubble. Those games on ESPN2 and ESPN. Virginia's got 13. Saunders has 9. Coming out of the Ron Sanchez called timeout. Already into double figures for Elijah Saunders.
Yeah, well, it was a good set coming out of the timeout. Even still, James Scott comes over to block the shot and commits the foul.
Hepburn back on the floor for Louisville. Edwards, lob. Scott is bumped and fouled. Freshman Sharma was down there on him. 6'5" on the 6'11" James Scott. And free throws coming for the sophomore.
You know, one of the byproducts when you have the ability to really attack the rim off of the dribble or with a lob threat like Scott is you're going to get to the foul line a lot. And one of the things for Louisville's offense is in conference play, they have made 14 more free throws than their opponents have attempted. I mean, they are getting to the line so much more than their opponents, and it's been a big part of their offense.
And that miss by Scott snapped a streak of 20 consecutive made free throws. So getting there, converting at a good number. The first miss of the day, but they're still 8 for 9. They do not foul much. They create lots of turnovers, and they're great rebounders. So they're not a tremendous field goal percentage defense, but they do everything else well. Even without Case and Pryor's out for the season with a torn ACL. McNeely gets a clean look, misses his second three. And Traore ahead to Edwards.
Shots McNeely's got a hit, and he's coming off a game against SMU. He did not shoot well.
His first game without a made three after a streak of 33 straight with a made three. Second longest in Virginia history. Deep shot clock for Hepburn. Off the back of the rim and deflected to Day-Day Ames. Starting point guard yet to score or have an assist. And just amazing hustle by this team. Traore's on the deck. Came back from a fractured bone in his left arm recently. Louisville's basically playing with a 7-man rotation, and they still don't stop.
They play hard, man. I mean, again, it starts with their effort, and then they put great pressure on the ball. They deny one pass away. Not really in a closed denial, more open, but they're denying, and they have really good versatility defensively. You always feel them, and you're always under duress.
Held Virginia without a field goal for 3 minutes plus right now. Rhodey slips it through to Kofi. Ames open. Ames off the iron. Chased down by Rhodey, though, and a rare offensive rebound for Virginia leads to a three-point opportunity for Kofi.
Nice shot keeping his poise against two defenders in there. Jacob Kofi, only a freshman. He's played well, and Ron Sanchez has gone in the direction of him. He's a good athlete with a very good second jump. Plays with a good motor. And that's where, with the season they've had, I think Ron Sanchez going in the direction of some of these younger guys. Kofi, Ish Sharma, Blake Buchanan. I think you want to try to get those guys experience.
Kofi making his 8th consecutive start today. Couldn't convert the three-point play. Frank Anselm-Ebay is on for the first time for Louisville. They're at 13. He'll get typically some spot minutes as the 8th guy in the rotation today. Hepburn steps inside Kofi. Shot fake. Kofi didn't bite. Hit the angle tough. Saunders with a rebound. So hard to shake free of Chucky Hepburn for Ames or whoever he's guarding. Hepburn 2.5 steals a game. Hadley will contest this three from Saunders. Kicks out to Smith. A little bit of a drought for Louisville here. And Edwards will try to change that. Inside, Anselm got fouled. Anselm-Ebay with a couple of free throws coming up. Been a good atmosphere at the Yum Center. They lose Pryor with a torn ACL 7 games into the season against Oklahoma, and yet they've gotten better defensively. How have they done that without such an important piece?
Well, I think time. You know, now they played 2 really good teams after they lost Pryor in Ole Miss and Duke. But I think there was an adjustment. And when Pat Kelsey took over, he started with the defense, which is, that's where the offense coming on has been a real surprise. But I think as these guys have adjusted to Pryor and Corin Johnson, guys like that being out, guys have stepped up and embraced, more time and different roles.
Inside that ball got its way to Kofi. Back to Ames, 5 to shoot. Saunders been the whole team today. That ball deflects to McNeely, who's off balance 3, is not close. And McNeely just 2 points, 1 for 4, 0 for 3 from 3. Their leading scorer has been held completely in check.
When you're a shooter and that's your job is to make threes, and when you're not making, it can really impact the mind. And I think we're starting to see that with Isaac McNeely. There's so much pressure on him to make threes, and he just doesn't have it going.
Smith. Reyne Smith with his 3rd from deep.
And then you get caught in a bad matchup there. Jacob Kofi, you got to know your personnel, man. Like, you have got to crowd Reyne Smith.
His 32nd three-pointer in conference play, most of anybody in any conference this year. Anselmibe with a rejection, and then he saves it to Hepburn. Knocked out of bounds. It's Louisville ball. Frank Anselmibe right at the tail end of the rotation. Heady minutes as he hits the bench.
And here's this 3, just confusion. Jacob Kofi has to switch out. You got a big on a small. And that's where, if you're Kofi, you've got to make Reyne Smith put it on the floor there. He's got to dribble the ball.
Active leaders in three-point field goals made. Only Gibson Jimerson at St. Louis with more than Smith. Inside, Hadley, good feed from Hepburn. Ames stayed down. Hadley will just bully his way in with a left. And this is the largest lead for Louisville. And once again, the Yum Center sounds like the Yum Center is supposed to sound. Last touch by Hepburn. Virginia will retain possession.
Louisville runs their stuff with really good pace. And then you've got guys, again, really versatile guys. I mean, there's J'Vonne Hadley, who's, below the rim guy, but plays with angles, can hit a 3, but is also really good around the basket.
Transfer from Colorado is a huge part of a very good Buffalo team a year ago. Louisville returned 2 points. 2 total points from the year, not points per game, 2 total. As Ames gets a wraparound layup for his first bucket. Aiden McCool, a walk-on. The only returning player who had scored a point for Louisville last year, but they brought in a world of experience. Hadley leading the way, left-handed again, no. And Traore called for his 2nd foul, going over the top. So Traore will stay on the floor. Virginia's only going to go 8 deep. Again, Noah Waterman not available with a sore right thumb today. Hard screen by Kofi. That freed McNeely for a good look.
Ron Sanchez, searching offensively. They, run a lot of 5 out here. They go to that mover blocker. Good flare screen. You get McNeely to the rim.
Scott, it's a rare miss. James Scott had been 55 for 67 from the field. Dunks everything in sight. Virginia shooting just 8 for 23. Saunders, and there is a foul called there. Kellen Milner has the foul on Hadley. Saunders was asking for it before the whistle came. It's Hadley's first. Crowd tells you what they think.
I don't know about that. I didn't see him hit his arm.
And Saunders may have baited his way into that. That's a ball don't lie. First shot.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, any guy who shoots an air ball is always going to look for a foul call.
Can we say ball maybe lies?
Ball white lies.
Yeah. 1 for 2 would feel appropriate. Saunders, who is the 6th best free throw shooter in the ACC, will split the pair. He's got 11. Virginia trying to hang around. First game 2 weeks ago, Louisville won 70-50, though Virginia did hang around for much of the second half. They were down 2 early in the second half, where the Cardinals had a big run late. Traore charging into Rhodey. That's something.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Jump ball.
It's nicely defended. Yeah, really nicely defended by Andrew Rhodey. Tell you what, Kadir Traore comes in to make an impact, though. Yeah, that's really well defended.
J'Vonne Sanchez told us earlier this year, we asked about Rhodey's improvement. He said, I'm impressed with how he's improved defensively. Forget about his shooting. Best communicator on the floor. Second year after coming over from St. Thomas. Saunders trying to take Hadley, wrestling with him. Saunders looking for a foul again. This time he didn't get it.
Get a good look there. You ISO him at the elbow. He's just got to show a little composure.
Edwards spin zone on Buchanan. Edwards in the double figures. The second Cardinal to get there.
It's as well as he's played offensively of late.
Just 2 for 9 at UVA 2 weeks ago for 7 points. McNeely, a lot of dribbling. Top 2, won't go. This is where Ron Sanchez was so worried. Transition defense against Louisville. Smith, and before the 3. That's the 3rd foul on Traore, an offensive foul. So a little bit of an issue there. Mostly going well, though, for Pat Kelsey's Cardinals. Smith with a dozen. And
5th-year guys, and then the sophomore James Scott. So they got guys who have played a lot of basketball.
all 5 of their starters made it to the NCAA tournament a year ago. And in fact, Edwards and his James Madison team beat Chucky Hepburn's Wisconsin team in the first round. That 12-5 game. Edwards is a leading scorer for JMU in the upset with 14. Rhodey inside over Hepburn. There's the first basket for Virginia's Andrew Rhodey.
It is remarkable how much better Andrew Rhodey is playing. You and I had their Memphis game. He couldn't have been worse. Had 5 turnovers in the game.
Edwards again muscles his way in and answers with 2, maybe 1 more.
And you said it, Kev, muscling. I mean, there is not a matchup that Virginia has had with him that's been able to keep him out of the paint, and he knows it. You know, so often we talk about a shooter being in a zone. You can get into a zone driving the basketball.
Edwards with a dozen in this game. I mentioned the struggles in conference play. His last 5 averaging 9.8 a game. The previous 5 he was at 21 a game. McNeely, and McNeely scores plus a foul. Edwards a little late on the bump there, so Edwards missing a 3-point opportunity on one end off the foul of McNeely. And this time Edwards fouls McNeely on a make.
Really good execution again, allowing the offense to work for you. You get just a rip screen, a back screen for McNeely. And that's 2 straight layups for him. There he sees a free throw go in. We'll see if that unlocks him a little bit from 3.
7 points for UVA's leading scorer on the year. 11.9 a game. Hadley will take a seat. And Smith returns with his 3 threes. Freshman Roots back on the floor as well with Scott, Hepburn, Edwards, and now Reyne Smith. Always thinking about it, Reyne Smith. Scott on the handoff fake for Smith. Well defended by Sharma. Now Smith deflected by Buchanan and collected but not finished by Roots. It'll stay with Louisville.
But part of Reyne Smith's thing is he never stops moving. He's just in perpetual movement. And then his teammates, the other 4 guys, are so aware of trying to get him the ball. Nice job by Blake Buchanan switching out there to block the shot.
There's a little entanglement right now between Buchanan and Scott, Saunders and Roots.
And watch Reyne Smith on under out of bounds. They love going to him.
Hepburn, welcome to Scott too.
Yeah, well, if it's that They did, you know, Pat Kelsey out of timeouts and under out of bounds. He is so good, and they are so efficient.
It's one of the things that really jumps out watching them. They always seem to get a great shot. Saunders got it back from Rhodey into Buchanan. And Scott had his head down. Blake Buchanan finishes. Been a 15-point lead for Louisville. It's down to 9. Minute plus to go in the first half. Edwards, Scott again!
Starts with the paint touch from Terrence Edwards. Again, cannot keep Terrence Edwards out of the paint. The help comes up, and these guys have become so good at throwing lobs to James Scott.
Final minute of the half. Buchanan from Sharma. Sophomore to the freshman Roots. Buchanan, right-handed flip, rebounded by Roots. Edwards hustling down the floor for Hepburn, who still has not hit a field goal in the first half. Now 0 for 7, and a good strong rebound. Buchanan with his 5th.
And Hepburn's had good looks.
UVA can just about hold for one as Edwards implores the crowd to stand. And tries to jump McNeely's pocket. Rhodey. Saunders, deep one, not close. And Louisville will have 0.7 of a second to get something up. Hepburn. If only that had been the first field goal he'd made. But Hepburn with a slow start has not mattered too much. He does have 4 assists to only 1 turnover, and he's looking for another assist here. Smith could not hit from 3. It's tracked down by Scott. And Louisville's 6th offensive rebound. Cardinals shooting at 45%. Cavaliers 36%. Edwards rejected but fouled. Buchanan is starting the second half in place of Kofi. Otherwise, the starters for UVA.
I like it. Like, the thing about Blake Buchanan, and you saw that in their SMU game the other day, is he competes. Part of Virginia's problem is they don't have enough competitors. I think you have a lot of guys out there just kind of going through the motions, playing, or competing in spurts. And so I think going in the direction of Blake Buchanan is the way to go. Now there, you give a second shot to Louisville. He gets caught in a funky matchup with Terrence Edwards Jr., and you pick up a foul. But, you know, I think Ron Sanchez is searching, and first and foremost, he's searching for guys who are going to play with effort and compete.
He said after the game Wednesday, he hopes for Blake Buchanan that he will get that kind of effort, and that this, he hopes, is the turn for him. He had 15 rebounds, 6 of them in the closing minutes. And Buchanan takes it here, burns down the house on the feed for McNeely, plus a foul. Good move, Ron Sanchez.
Really nice, and a very nice pass from McNeely. You see the attention he draws. That tag defender, J'Vonne Hadley, comes over late. And what a finish through contact by Buchanan.
Averaging just over 5 and 5 a game on the year, and he bricks a free throw here, so he's got 6 and 5 today, plus a blocked shot. 11-point lead for Louisville. Cardinals off their best start in 5 years in ACC play. Hepburn trying to turn around Buchanan. Starting 5 for Louisville: Hepburn, Smith, Hadley, Edwards Jr., and Scott. Here's Hepburn stepping inside Buchanan. And Hepburn another miss, grabs his own miss. This time he's got Saunders on him. Jitterbug into the lane, and finally, Chucky Hepburn gets a bucket to go after an 0 for 8 start. Must be the dog.
He had had enough of that. He said, I am finishing this possession, no matter what.
Andrew Rhodey just 1 for 6 in that first half. Virginia led by Saunders with 11. McNeely's got 7. Poked away by Hepburn. Now it's Edwards running against McNeely. He'll step inside and score for 16 points.
What a play by Hepburn to force that turnover. Just a little sneaky play from behind.
Into Saunders, trying to throw it down through a couple of Cardinals, took a hit.
Chucky Hepburn is so disruptive. You know, it hasn't been his best day, but he has been one of the 5 best point guards in the country. That's how well he has played so far this year. He's a tenacious defender. He's really sneaky off of the ball, like that play there. And then he controls the game offensively.
Pat Kelsey told us before the game he thinks Chucky is a top 5 point guard. You agree with Pat Kelsey's sentiments?
Yeah, it's funny. I laughed when he said that because I had it written down in my notes. I mean, he had a good year last year for Wisconsin, played well. He has gone to a much, much higher level, and he has played as one of the 5 best so far.
Do you have a top 5?
Good question, Kevin. Reyne Smith would be in there. Zakai Ziegler, Taman Lipsey from Iowa State, and Ryan Nembhard would be my other 4.
There you go. You come prepared.
Well, I knew who I was working with. The journalist and Kevin Brown would ask the follow-up.
That's right. Yeah. Real muckraker over here. Kofi will come on for Buchanan. He just picked up his 3rd. So Buchanan gave some good energy to the start of this half, but did pick up 2 quick fouls, so he'll take a quick seat. Hepburn gets it back off the inbound, trying to turn the corner on Ames. Now using his physicality, leans in, misses. Scott does not catch, and an easy 2-hand delivery for Scott, who's got 7.
Great rebounders always assume a miss. James Scott stayed ready.
This is the largest lead now at 16 for Louisville, plus 5 to begin the half. Into Saunders, knocked away. Edwards was all over it. Scott on the deck for the takeaway. Hepburn. Chucky wants a screen from Scott. He'll fake the pass to him. He'll set up Edwards. Rebound Kofi. Brody gonna leak out to Saunders. Kofi doesn't take a lot of threes, and he will miss that one. He's hit just 8 of them all season. Intended shoot for Hepburn, spinning on Haynes. Hepburn at the rim will finish.
It's his change of pace and shiftiness that puts the defense on his heels.
Feels like the kind of guy who would have been awfully tough to defend in the Dirt Bowl, the great summer tournament, Louisville. It's inspiring these uniforms the Cardinals are wearing today. Timeout, UVA.
The Chucky doll has awakened Chucky Hepburn. Look at the shiftiness on a string. Dancing right by Day Ames. Little smooch.
ESPN, the Irish and the Buckeyes, who you got?
I'm going Notre Dame. I like the Irish. I assume you're a Buckeye?
Well, not by nature, but I think they're going to win the game.
Well, makes you, for those few hours, a Buckeye.
I don't have any vested interest. Nobody's going to remember my pick. McNeely's missed 3. But I like what you did, because not a lot of people are picking Notre Dame. So if they win, you can go, hey, I was on top of that. If Ohio State wins, nobody's going to remember the millions of people that picked Ohio State.
I just wanted to say, I got the Irish.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I hope you enjoyed that segment of broadcasting. Let's go back to break now. Where Virginia basketball, Chris, goes from here.
Well, I think it's important to understand that this program would have been hovering right around where it is record-wise, even if Tony Bennett was the coach. I mean, their problem this year has been a talent problem, or lack thereof. And that's what was left to Ron Sanchez. So, you know, I think Virginia and Miami have the same question. Like, I understand Coach Larinaga and Coach Bennett stepping down because of the climate and not wanting to participate in this any longer. But the reality is Miami and Virginia right now in ACC play are a combined 1-11. So if either of those coaches had more talent this year, perhaps they'd still be coaching. And so I think both institutions have been put in a tough spot. And I have a lot of things they're going to have to figure out moving forward.
Foul was on Sharma there, on Sanchez. 11 years at UVA, was an assistant for 9. Went to take over the head coaching job at Charlotte, came back a season ago as associate head coach. Wasn't fired by Charlotte, just left to rejoin the staff here. Les Hepburn is short on a 3. And Ron Sanchez and Tony Bennett have talked a lot about how Virginia has succeeded as a developmental program, and there has been a lot of ink spilled and a lot of words said about how it's harder to do that now in the NIL transfer portal era. Get back to that in a second. Anthony Robinson is fouled.
Look, the reality is guys like Coach K and Roy Williams and Jim Larinaga and Tony Bennett, and Jim Boeheim, I get it. The way that things are now, it was not in the job description of being a college coach when those guys got into it. And it's not what they got into it for. I get it. But part of the ACC's problem is, all of a sudden now Louisville's back to being good, but you lose Virginia and Miami. You know, Mike Bray did not leave behind a great situation at Notre Dame. Syracuse is battling some of the fallout from Jim Boeheim. These are programs that the ACC needs to be good. This is a great league, but it needs those programs to be good kind of at the same time.
Right now, 5 NCAA tournament teams projected for Joe Lunardi. It's 5 out of 18. Edwards shoves it off the rim, knocked away. Edwards tries to save it, and Edwards does save it. Ridiculous hustle by the former Sun Belt Player of the Year, who's having quite a campaign in Kentucky.
He's had a heck of a day. He really has. And this is just an extra effort play. He has scored the basketball, but that is who Louisville collectively has been this year. Those types of competitive plays.
Tuesday, they won by 24 at Syracuse. Pat Kelsey said, I think it's as complete a game as we've played all year. Up by 17 here. No letdown factor after a big win. And you wonder, well, they beat Virginia 2 weeks ago on the road. What's going to be Louisville's level of focus, execution? You're already seeing this team beat them by 20. It's been dialed in from the opening moments as Rhodey misses a 3. Just another testament to what a job Pat Kelsey's done. The freshman Roots trying to get on the scoreboard. He won't.
Well, it's also these guys.
And then Saunders.
It's also these guys for Louisville picking each other up. J'Vonne Hadley goes for 32 in that game against Clemson. He's had a quiet day. Chucky Hepburn goes for 26 the other night against Syracuse. He's been quiet. But it's Terrence Edwards, it's Reyne Smith. It's a collective effort of picking each other up. And they have a lot of different ways they can beat you.
They managed to do so with very limited depth because of all their injuries, too. Inside Hadley, too strong. Rebound to Robinson, the freshman. The Virginia's without Waterman today. Corin Johnson, Case, and Pryor out for the season. Johnson suffered a labrum issue 2 games in. They knew Ali Khalifa and Kobe Rogers, who were transfers, were going to miss the season. They were both slated to redshirt. Pat Kelsey told us the good news with Khalifa and Rogers, they can start getting into practices now, even though they're not going to play, because Louisville's having trouble just running full competitive practices with their lack of available bodies. And yet here they are, winners of 7 straight, alone in second in the ACC. Looking for all the world like a tournament team. Hepburn lobs it, and you knew it was going to be Scott on the end of that, as that prime connection once again rears its head.
They're so good out of that zoom action, getting guys coming off. Usually Hepburn, he gets 2 feet in the paint, and they're so good at reading James Scott defender as he helps up. That's when they throw that lob. It's automatic.
An epically long drop for Virginia. Meanwhile, Hepburn with a steal. Here comes Roots. He's hacked by Robinson. Chucky Hepburn on both ends, a significant impact.
He hasn't scored, but he's impacted the game. Starts on the wing there, and he actually hits the roller. It was James Scott who sets that wing ball screen and then rolls to the rim.
Now we're going to get an official review here for a possible flagrant foul on that foul by Robinson. Kellen Milner is over at the table along with Ted Valentine.
Yeah, I think this is a basketball play. He sticks his arm in there to try to make a play on the ball. He certainly wants to commit a foul, which it obviously was. I think the hand on the back was there just to not, he doesn't want to injure Kenai Ruths. But this is one of those plays when you have a player on a fast break who seems unabated, they are going to review these automatically.
Sean Hall is taking a look. Kellen Milner, by the way, whose back is to us, the young official here, former Creighton Blue Jay, played there from 2002 to 2005. 7-point per game scores, so the rare college basketball player at high level in Division I, and now Division I referee. 19-point Louisville lead as this play is sorted out. Virginia has 1 field goal and 4 points in the second half. It was a Buchanan dunk 6 minutes and 55 seconds ago.
At the further review, the common foul called on the court has been elevated to a flagrant 1 foul.
Now, maybe this is just anecdotal. Maybe this is just the games I've seen or worked. But it feels like, and maybe this is one man's experience of it, it feels like more close or maybe not so close calls are being upgraded this year.
Yeah, these types of plays. Look, the officials are doing what they have been asked to do. So this is not a complaint about the officials. In fact, Louisville had a play like this in their Clemson game where Chase Hunter came from behind. He actually blocked the shot, but because the player was elevated, anyway, it ended up being upgraded to a flagrant 1. I am not in favor of those being upgraded. Like, I think that's a basketball play. It always has been. Basketball is a physical game. But I think on those particular plays, the officials have been asked to protect the shooter, the offensive player.
So Roots hits the free throws. First points for the freshman out of Washington, D.C. Louisville looks to get a lob to Scott. That's basically a jump shot for him, and he left it short. Scott 4 for 6 off shooting night for the guy who's at 82%. Sharma, meanwhile, who had huge baskets late against SMU, takes his first shot of the game and probably hits it.
I think he needs to play more because he comes in to make an impact, and he's a really good shooter and has bailed them out of some games this year.
With a tying 3 and 4 free throws late against SMU Wednesday. Edwards all the way. Traore rips it away from Buchanan. Abubakar with a finish. McNeely looking for space, gets it into Buchanan, and Traore blocked the shot but got called for his 4th foul. It was better for him on the other end, though.
Well, he's coming in to use his athleticism and physicality to make an impact. Look at this play, just snatching it. That's my bike and my chain. Offensive rebounds. So they're forced to make threes, and they haven't done it here today.
There's 3 of 14 as Buchanan hits the first of 2. Tomorrow, great women's college basketball doubleheader. Stanford and Duke, 2 powerhouses now in the ACC on ESPN2, and then Oklahoma, South Carolina on ESPN. Congratulations to Dawn Staley, the highest paid coach now in women's basketball history, signed a new $25 million extension this week. Her Gamecocks will be in action tomorrow. ESPN and the ESPN app. 18-point lead. Buchanan 8-5 now for Virginia. And knocks that ball away, and the lob from Smith. It gets back to Scott. Edwards from Hadley. Driving and delivering to Scott, who lost it on the way up. McNeely. Sharma, another three-point try for him, and it's good. So Virginia had its first 2 threes go down from Saunders, missed 11 in a row, and now Sharma's hit 2 straight. And here's a takeaway with Ames running the break to Robinson, and the foul. A little life here for UVA.
And coming from freshmen, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're Ron Sanchez, you've got to go in the direction of these young players. I mean, you and I saw Anthony Robinson play his best game of the year against Memphis. And I'm not sure why Virginia has been unable to develop him from that game. Like, these guys come in to make an impact.
Playing just 5 minutes a game. Edwards and Louisville will take a timeout. Virginia had been really struggling to score. They're on a 7-0 run. Back in 30 to the Yum Center.
Enthusiasts, or did you add that as your own editorial?
I love reading the copy. ACC enthusiasts. In fact, today is in all caps. I'm not sure if I did that justice. Can watch today. When I say today, I just want to say today, Junior. But that's not on the copy, so.
Be classy, San Diego.
Inside Hadley, Buchanan with another block shot. Blake Buchanan's got a couple of those. So you look at the floor right now for Virginia, Chris. Buchanan, a sophomore. Robinson, a freshman. Sharma's a freshman. A little bit of a younger group here getting UVA back in the game. 5 to shoot. Hepburn got it back from Smith out of the inbounds. Step back on Ames is well short. Midway through the second half. A long way to go. And Hepburn jumps the passing lane as he so wonderfully does. His 3rd steal.
Yeah, great read, and that's helping the helper.
Smith hasn't hit a 3 in a while. He'll take it to the basket and get fouled. Will that be a shooting foul is the question. And Ted Valentine is going to say it's just a baseline out of bounds. Although it is the 8th foul in Virginia, so it's got to be a 1-and-1, which the officials are now realizing. So a non-shooting foul, but Louisville's in the bonus. Ames with his 2nd. Smith, 27 out of 30 free throw shooter on the year. Pat Kelsey told us before the game, Reyne Smith is like a son to him. 3 years at Charleston, and he really stepped into this role in a big way after Corin Johnson suffered a torn labrum 2 games into the year. Right now, J'Vonne Hadley is dealing with some blood, and that's being cleaned up by a member of the training staff.
Yeah, Reyne Smith is a real weapon, man. I mean, first of all, he's a winner. Big part of Pat Kelsey's great teams at college at Charleston. And he is starting to get comfortable in that Louisville uniform. All of his shooting numbers have gone up in conference play.
You wonder what it is sometimes about a player who's at a mid-major, a low major, who has big numbers and transfers up. Sometimes you see the up transfer get swallowed up by the higher caliber of the league. Smith has met the quality of play in this league. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think he has really good players around him. So as much as I can sit here and pontificate about how you can't leave him and you got to find him early in transition, all these coaching things, when you play with other good players, that's going to require help, and it's going to shift the defense. He's in great shape, so he's always in perpetual movement, and he's super confident. So he always believes he's going to make the next one.
Ames got to the rim, swirls it home. Nice finish by Day Ames. Smith moving without the ball again, rolls into the corner away from the play. Edwards has it, steps back for three. Saunders back on the floor with a rebound.
Shot selection for Louisville has not been great over the last few minutes.
Buchanan takes it into Scott, draws the 6th Louisville foul of the half. Well, KFC Yum Center typically is one of the greatest places to watch a basketball game in the country. It's been a lot emptier the last couple of years, obviously, with the Louisville struggles, but this is a welcome sight. 18,233, largest crowd since January 29th of 2022. You got Stewie Griffin, you got the Chucky dolls, you got the umbrellas. This is really a special basketball city. You coached here against some of those best Louisville teams that we've seen over the past couple of decades. What is it like when this building gets going?
It's one of the best in college basketball. The sport needs it. Forget just the ACC. And I did that game on January 29th in 2022. It was a game against Duke, the year they had Paolo Banchero. And it was, again, this is a program with great tradition, going back to Denny Crum, obviously through Rick Pitino. And they've hired one of those types of coaches who can galvanize. And look, you don't have to give this fan base much. You got to give them hard-playing guys, and you got to win. And that's what this program has done, and they have a coach who connects with this fan base. The sport needs Louisville, and it needs this building.
Hepburn goes 2 for 2. Louisville game notes helpfully let us know this is consistently the highest rated TV market in the country during NCAA tournament time. They just cannot get enough of their basketball in Louisville, in the state of Kentucky, obviously with UK and Lexington. And both these programs, Louisville and Kentucky, are playing some of the best basketball they've played in years. But this game is far from over. Saunders with a 3. Virginia's starting to get hot from the outside, and the lead is down to 11.
They're shooting free. When you're down, there's nothing to lose. You can let it fly, and Louisville's been a little bit complicit.
And Edwards took a little bit of a bump here, so he will limp to the bench on an official timeout.
Bad shot selection on one end. And again, it's a pretty good contested shot with a little bit of depth from Saunders, but when you're down, you got nothing to lose. You start to shoot a little more freely. Louisville's got to get back to attacking the basket.
Hadley back on the floor for Edwards. Louisville's injury woes continue. Looks like Edwards is having the left knee checked out. Smith gets free. Smith hits his 4th three-pointer.
Or do that. He is so good at reading the screen. We talked about his perpetual movement. He's so good coming off and reading how his defender plays it.
How crazy would he drive you if you had to scout against him?
Oh my gosh.
His 33rd 3, 8 conference games, over 4 a game. Offensive foul will send it back the other way. So just like that, Louisville kicks UVA's run in the teeth.
Reyne Smith, he makes it rain. Nice little flare as Sharma goes over the top. He's wet. So wet. Starting to shoot the ball better, which has opened even more things up. They're, as we expected, they have gone to that next level.
They're now top 40 in the country in three-point percentage. And Ken Pomeroy's metrics, basketball gospel in some ways statistically, have Duke the nation's 2nd best offense and 2nd best defense. They and Auburn have been a class to themselves the last month or so in college basketball. So Duke BC, 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN. Looking forward to that one. Another exciting day of ACC hoops. Hadley into Saunders. And there's a push off. It's going to go against somebody at Louisville. That was Anselm eBay with his 2nd.
A nice job there by Elijah Saunders, keeping his feet as J'Vonne Hadley went super pivot, trying to find his angle. here's, another Anthony Robinson impact play, getting himself to the foul line.
1-1 for Robinson, swirls it in. Terrence Edwards Jr. looked like he got tangled up the left knee. Edwards still on the bench for Louisville. They don't have Noah Waterman today because of a sore right thumb. They get a game Tuesday and then a week off, so they're hoping they can get Waterman back soon. But this is a time where Louisville has a little bit softer of a schedule just in terms of days off. There's the thumb for Waterman. He's been playing through a thumb injury. He's got 4 screws in his right thumb, Pat Kelsey told us. Had surgery in December and has still been gutting it out for Louisville, the 6-year player. Offensive foul will send it the other way. Just the 7th Louisville turnover.
Anthony Robinson again. And again, Louisville, and it can happen. Psychology, you're fighting when you get up big, up 20. They've gotten a little sloppy here over the last 10 minutes.
Robinson's got 5 points, 3 rebounds, 7 minutes. Good hustle plays. Rhodey with a 3. Robinson got a hand to it, overjumped it, and he's late to get back into the play. So a 5-on-4 for Hepburn. Sets up the 3. It's good from the corner for Roots. Just his 7th of the year.
Could be the backbreaker. You had a 3 on one end, open 3 from Rhodey. He misses, and then you get a 3 from an unlikely source in Roots coming back in the other direction.
Ames from Rhodey. And then Ames throws it away for Rhodey. Virginia turns it over for the 11th time.
Chucky Hepburn, when he's on the break, you've got to figure out a way to stop his momentum. It is a big part of how they get into their offense. You got to stop him higher, because once he gets that head of steam and gets into your paint, he's going to break you down. And a really good kick to Roos in the corner.
This is Chucky Hepburn's, at the moment, 7th consecutive game with exactly 7 assists, and his 8th straight game of at least 7 assists. He's 5th in the ACC. There's a basket for Hadley on the drive, plus a foul, and this appears to be a game-sealing little flurry for Louisville.
Well, they tightened it back up. Just an ISO here on that pinch post. And Elijah Saunders is caught watching the play opposite instead of trying to stay in front, being diligent with J'Vonne Hadley. What a smart play.
3-point play for Hadley. He's got 8. All 5 Louisville starters have at least 8. A balanced scoring, you mentioned off the top, bearing fruit. Saunders drives and finishes, and another 3-point opportunity. 17 for Saunders. Tuesday night men's basketball doubleheader starts in the SEC. Tennessee's play well, suffering its first loss to Florida. Vols will host Mississippi State, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. They had a big one between North Carolina and a Wake Forest team trying to fight its way back into tournament consideration. That's 9 o'clock on ESPN.
Tell you what, North Carolina's starting to play much better. You speak of freshmen, Ian Jackson is really starting to figure it out.
Yeah, Carolina team that had a brutal non-conference starting to fight its for him as Hadley muscles in another 2. He's into double figures. By the way, great SEC game right now just down the road on ESPN. Alabama leading by 4 at Kentucky, 73-69 with under 9 to go. So Kentucky and Louisville both home today. Sharma off the mark for 3. Good to see Edwards back on the floor for Louisville. He's got 16. Smith 1 point ahead of him. Smith will drive it on Sharma. Saunders got a hand in the cookie jar. And then a foul. Ted Valentine's going to come in here, make sure this doesn't get out of hand. A loose ball foul on the scramble. It's on Sharma of Virginia, number 9 right there.
Ooh. And you said it, Ted Valentine shot out of a cannon.
Yeah. Ted can still move now.
I mean, he's quick start from Teddy V.
4th foul on Sharma. Are we going to have an official review here? Ted saying to Sean Hall, what time is your flight? What time is my flight? Let's see.
Last play is under review.
I have a rule, when it's an 18-point game, we do no reviews. I'm not asking for running clock. But in all seriousness, these are the reviews, Kevin. Like, I think the sport also has to self-reflect and understand this is an entertainment enterprise. We are airing these games to an audience. I mean, you know, to go to the monitor, it just...
I hear you. In the last 3 minutes or so of the Virginia SMU game Wednesday, took about 21 minutes to play. And again, from an official perspective, this is what you're being coached to do, what you're being taught to do. But then it becomes not the priorities of the folks on the court. It's what do we want to prioritize overall in the game. Entertainment while not losing the impact of safety, certain things to review, sure.
There is a nobility in wanting to get the call right, but it loses its nobility when the ends...
After further review, the call stands, common foul.
When the ends no longer justify the means. And I think on some of these reviews, that was obvious. I don't think the ends are justifying what we have to go through, what our audience has to go through in order to do that.
Well, our audience does get to spend more time with you for the reviews, so maybe that is what they want. And they get to see more shots of that guy with the umbrella on his head. So Sharma to the bench, a 4th foul. And more free throws for Smith, who's now 6 for 6 at the line. And Traore will come in for Scott. Sharma with 6 points off the bench, couple of threes. Virginia got this thing down to 11, and it's back up to 20, which was the margin of victory 2 weeks ago in Charlottesville. That, by the way, was the first time Louisville had won in Charlottesville since 1990. As Rhodey splashes one from deep. And Rhodey along 2. It was a 9-game win streak for Virginia in this series. Hadley start over Robinson. He's got a dozen.
It's a small lineup out there for Louisville. Tough to find a matchup for Anthony Robinson.
Saunders posting Traore at 6'5". And Saunders uses his size advantage. 19 for Elijah Saunders. A little hot potato between Hepburn, Hadley, and Edwards. Hadley will give it off to Smith. Step back 3. No good. McNeely's yet to hit a 3. He had 33 straight games with a made 3. He might be at back-to-back games without one. Another rip away by Hepburn. Traore spinning and winning. Abubakar Traore out of Long Beach State. Cote d'Ivoire from there. Making a home here at the Yum Center.
What great accent work by you, Kevin Brown.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Good little fight there for Reyne Smith, and then there's Chucky Hepburn again, coming down to help his teammate out, off and running. A Cote d'Ivoire.
Louisville 1 of the 5 with Duke, Carolina, Pitt, and Clemson. SMU in the next 4 out. Your mid-January bracketology update. Of course, a million things can and will happen. 21-point game here. Louisville set to sweep Virginia in the season series. Brody hits his first three. All-time series, Virginia 24, Louisville 6 coming into today. Last time Louisville won 2 straight in this series, the only time, January 1989 and February 1990. Edwards can't convert from 3. Well, to win, Louisville would win its 8th straight overall as well, and that has been a big problem in the second half because Virginia's shot at 10 for 16 in the half, but they have turned it over 10 times in the half.
Well, turnovers have been a problem all year for Virginia. They've righted the ship a little bit on that over the last handful of games, but it's been real, put a lot of pressure obviously on their offense, but on their defense as well.
213th in the country turnover rate, and their losses averaging 12.5 a game, which at the slow tempo they play is a very high number. Edwards 3, that's rejected. Ames got a hand on it, and then Saunders tied up with Traore. It'll be Virginia ball. By the way, can we take a minute to appreciate the Louisville uniforms for today? The Dirt Bowl uniforms. These Dirt Bowl is a summer tournament which is a huge part of this city of Louisville. Began in 1969, runs from June to August. It's just a tournament on the west side of town, about 15 minutes west of here, Shawnee Park, as McNeely hits his first 3 of the game. And anybody can and does sign up. Louisville's got these uniforms to honor that great part of their city. As Scott is fouled, scores it, and a chance for 3 for the big man, James Scott.
Yeah, it's cool. These uniforms are cool. I'm glad they did this today. It's one of the great traditions of outdoor basketball. You don't have many of those anymore. You know, in the line of a Rucker Park, most folks know in New York City. Dirt Bowl is one of those great traditions, and it's a cool thing for Louisville to do.
Got the multicolored piping down the shorts, symbolizing the diversity of folks that play, the diversity of neighborhoods, all these different neighborhoods, different age groups, different people participate. Some of the great players in this city's history. Darrell Griffith was a part of the Dirt Bowl once, the incredible Louisville player, most outstanding player of the Final Four in 1980 when Louisville won its first title. And the tradition lives on here every summer in Louisville, Kentucky. Outdoor basketball, and now looks like they're getting the tradition of indoor basketball back again. Saunders was out of bounds. The 15th Virginia turnover. And Louisville doing something not a lot of teams do against Virginia. Putting up 80 points. Timeout taken. We're back in 30 seconds. Louisville up 18 floor as they host Pittsburgh in March.
It's crazy remarkable. I mean, I said it at the beginning of the game. You know, Pat Kelsey's one of those coaches. He rolls out of bed, he's going to get you 25 wins. From where they were to think that this team could do that and make the NCAA tournament, it is as good a job as we have seen in resurrecting the program.
Here's what's next. Tuesday is not going to be easy. SMU, a good start to its ACC tenure. SMU beat Louisville just before the buzzer on a Boopie Miller 3 with 0.4 of a second to go Wednesday. Wake Forest is playing well, but a pretty manageable stretch overall. And a couple of the walk-ons check in now for Louisville. Cole Sherman, junior guard from Louisville, is in the game. Aiden McCool, the one player who had scored a point for Louisville last year, who returns to the roster. TJ Power also in the game for Virginia, 23, who is a much sought after transfer from Duke, who's fallen out of the rotation of late. 1 minute to go as Sharma's misses thunderously, put back in by Robinson. Maybe earn himself more playing time next time out.
Felt like we said that the last time.
True. $17 points is the lead. Sherman, deep one. Oh, off the front of the rim. Cole Sherman, the Louisville kid, going to put his name on the score sheet. I know somebody's watching this possession. Murray for three. It's good. Taine Murray makes this a 14-point game, and that appears to be where it will end up.
Yes, it does, Kevin.
And Louisville's going to dribble out the clock, which is going to draw some mixed reactions from some. Paging our friend SVP. Final seconds ticking away. The Louisville Revival, the Revival, as Pat Kelsey called it, rolls merrily along on this Saturday afternoon. 7-1.